back to one more video session. Here I'm going to start with a new lesson, human health and disease. Let me just give you the concepts that we are going to study in this chapter. Very important chapter and interesting too. The first one is a definition of health, different types of diseases caused by different types of pathogens, how they enter into our body and cause the pathogenicity, that is disease. Okay. Later we are going to talk about the immunity, that is system, everything related to immunity. Then we will be talking about the cancer, the types of cancer, characteristics of cancer cells, okay, and diagnosis and the treatment for cancer, everything. Later we will be discussing the different types of narcotic drugs, and finally the last concept is the easiest but important for your board examination for 5 marks. Prevention of drug and alcohol abuse. Okay, so these are all, I think 5 concepts are there. So this chapter is not lengthy as principles of inheritance and variation and molecular basis of inheritance. Okay, and even it is interesting too compared to the other 2 chapters. Human health and disease. Here I will not start with the first concept, that is definition of health and the types of diseases, the different types of diseases caused by different types of microorganisms, like that. I'll straight away start with the immunity or immune system, because that is the basic. First, if you understand the basic, then it will be easy for you to understand the different types of diseases. Okay, so the basic. We'll start with immunity. First is immunity, very important. Immunity. So what is this immunity? Okay. First I'm going to just draw one person here. So this person is now Mr. X. Okay, he is now exposed to different types of particles, which includes living and non-living particles, which is present in our environment. Let us say that particles could be a bacteria. So this is now bacteria, and okay, I should use a different color. Okay, so this is now virus. The next one is, it could be a fungus. Okay, see, there are so many different types of pathogens are around. Even even in my skin also there are millions of bacteria, they are residing and they are reproducing. Okay, but still they are not causing any harm to my body, because they are living as symbionts. Okay, so they are not harming my body. But if they get a chance to enter into my body, obviously they may take any cell as their house or home, like host, and they can cause the disease. Okay, there are so many things to understand. Fine. Let us say that now the bacteria enters into Mr. X body. What's going to happen is, so it's going to search for a host cell. There are different types of cells. For example, B cells are there, T cells are there, macrophages, mast cell, dendritic cells. Okay, so there are different types of cells are there, because cells difference is mainly because of their work, based on their work. Okay, so finally let us say this bacteria finally finds one cell which is bit comfortable for them to multiply and take rest, eat, whatever it is. Okay, so now this bacteria got the entry into one cell of Mr. X. What's going to happen is, it starts producing some toxic material. Why they produce this toxic material? The toxicity or toxic material, it could be, there are 2 types, endo and exotoxic. I will not talk about it now. Okay, so this toxic is going to neutralize the chemicals which is present within this cell. Otherwise, the chemicals of Mr. X cell can kill this bacteria. So to neutralize it, it has to release certain chemicals. So they are going to fight with Mr. X cell's chemicals. Okay, so to neutralize that cell, and now it is comfortable for this bacteria to multiply. So the number of this bacteria increases. Earlier only one bacteria got the entry into this cell, and the number is now increasing because of the multiplication. And now what's going to happen? There is no space for millions of bacteria within this cell, and the cell burst to release this bacteria, and now each bacteria starts invading another or different cells. That's it, and the mechanism continues, and as a result millions of cells starts to die. So when the cells starts to die, what's going to happen to Mr. X? He will suffer from kind of a symptom, like that is being uneasy or like tired, maybe like he may show headache, fever, there are so many symptoms, diarrhea, all this stuff. that condition is called as disease. Yes, disease. Even it is applicable to B or F. Even there are parasites like the protozoans also. Okay, for example, Plasmodium vivax or Plasmodium falciparum or Plasmodium malariae, which causes malaria. Different types of malaria. In malaria also there are different types. Okay, it's based on what type of chemical they release inside our body. Okay, but see, if you just go out and obviously you inhale the air, and along with the air you also inhale all these things, which includes good bacteria and bad bacteria, or maybe bad microorganisms which are pathogens. Okay, and they obviously enter into our cells, and if they start doing all this mechanism, what's going to happen? We die. That means we cannot survive for 60 years at all. At least 60 years we cannot survive. Okay, we cannot live. But we have a wonderful system in our body that is always keep our body safe from these invading pathogens. That system is called as immune system, or the mechanism is called as immune response. Okay, everything is called as immunity. Got it? So what is this immunity? Immunity is the ability of the host cell, which is the host cell now. This is now host cell. Mr. X cells are called as host cell. They are going to be the house for these invading pathogens. Okay, so it is the ability of the host cell to fight against the disease causing pathogens. Done. Got it? It is the ability of the organism, okay, which will fight against different disease causing microorganism. That is actually called as immunity. And the mechanism, how they exactly defend themselves from these invading pathogens, that is through a mechanism called as immune response. Got it? What is the meaning of response? Response means when something is entering into our body, obviously there must be certain kind of response. For example, if I come visit you, like I come to your house, or like I just knock your door and you open the door and you'll be surprised. Oh my God, Arun sir. Okay, so you'll be like you feel uncomfortable because I'm your teacher and I know I have visited you. That is surprise visit, and maybe like your house is not that clean at that moment. Okay, so it's like everything is. I hope you can imagine it's dirty, and you feel very uncomfortable, right? So that is actually the thing. I don't know, like at that moment, how do you respond? You may say like, sir, nobody is there at home, you can leave. Or maybe like, come sir, come inside, sit. Okay, you may ask me to sit, but at the same time, you need to give me a cup of tea or coffee, right? So that is also a thing. If you do not have the milk, then what do you do? So that is actually being uncomfortable, correct? So that is actually the thing is happening. That is, how do you respond to a pathogen? For example, if I call, okay, Sakshat, I'm going to come to your home at 5 o'clock today. So you'll be prepared. So when I visit your house will be very clean, neat, everything. Everything is ready. Whatever I want. Okay, done, right? So that is you are prepared for it. So response could be primary response or it could be secondary response. Primary in the sense like it is not a specific type. You are like surprised. It is like a surprised visit. Or secondary response is not surprised. Because I am ready for it or you are ready for it. Okay, to provide or to respond to these different types of pathogens. Got it? So that is actually immunity. Immunity is a specific and it's a wonderful system in our body actually. Got it? Okay. Hope I understood this. This is the introduction part actually of immunity. Hope you have taken down the definition of immunity. It is the ability of the host organism to fight against the pathogens by a system called as immune response. Okay, so that is immunity. Now let us talk about the different types of immunity. Okay, so this is interesting now. This is now a pathogen. Okay, so this is a pathogen. Looks like a rabbit. Okay, let us name it as the bacteria. So this is the bacteria now. Okay, so this bacteria is a very, very dangerous bacteria. It's going to cause a deadly disease in our body. But the thing is, these bacteria are present everywhere. Even it could be in the water, or it could be in the soil, or it could be in the air, or maybe in the droplet, that is an infected person. Droplet, everywhere. They are everywhere. But still, they cannot cause the disease in all the human beings. Only few are the victims of this disease causing bacteria, not all. Why? There is some things which is acts like a challenge for this bacteria. Okay, so if the bacteria wants to get the entry into our body, it has to cross three barriers. That is the major challenges faced by the pathogens. Let me just write the barriers. The barriers is present in the host organism. Millions of organisms, they exhibit this mechanism. For example, if you talk about single celled organism like the bacteria itself. Okay, the bacteria. Normally bacteria is also victims of viruses, right? Even the virus also, that is a bacteriophage, the phage virus. The virus also kills the bacteria by taking the entry. But still the bacteria is showing the resistance. It could be of two types. One is the cell wall, toughness of the cell wall. If the cell wall is very tough, obviously the virus or maybe any type of organism cannot cannot enter into this bacteria, number one. Or maybe it has got a circular autonomously replicating DNA or chromosome, that is called as plasmid. It has got plasmid. Plasmid is a type of immune system in the bacteria. They produces chemicals, that is they have got a gene, for example ampicillin, tetracycline. You are going to understand it in biotechnology. Okay, so they are going to produce some chemicals and kills the chemicals of the pathogens. Got it? This is defense mechanism. In this case I am talking about human health. Okay, so the first line of defense, that is innate immunity. Okay, so let me just write first line of defense. First, the bacteria has to cross this first line of defense. Okay, if they they entered into this first line of defense, okay, by piercing it, that is skin for example, still they have one more challenge, that is they need to cross the second line of defense. Second line of defense. First line, second line. The second line of defense is mainly provided by certain cells like macrophages or phagocytes, for example. Okay, or even the mast cells or neutrophils, monocytes, eosinophils. They are second line of defense. Okay, the bacteria is good enough to cross the first line and second line. It has crossed it. But the major challenge, that is it cannot actually bring the disease in the host organism. It's mainly because of the third line of defense. The third line of defense is very strong. Strong in the sense they are very specific. Very specific. Okay, they will kill these deadly disease causing microorganisms. Okay, that is third line. Third line of defense is mainly by two types of cells. We call it as lymphocytes. I think you have heard about the formed elements monocytes, RBC, WBC and thrombocytes, that is the platelets. In that RBC and platelets, they do not have the nucleus. Platelet is not a cell actually. Okay, so in WBC again there are 5 types. Okay, you know that Neb and monocytes and lymphocytes. Neb in the sense neutrophil, eosinophil and basophils, Neb, and that is granulocytes. Agranulocytes are 2 types. Monocytes, the one is the lymphocytes. Here the lymphocytes, the third line of defense is mainly because of the lymphocytes. Okay, lymphocytes, not monocytes. Monocytes are here. Okay, in this case, do not get confused. It's entirely different. Monocytes, even Neb also. Okay, other than that, Neb, macrophages, phagocytes are there. Okay, so this third line of defense mainly consists of lymphocytes, particularly 2 types of cells, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. You know, they provide specific type of immunity for any type of pathogen causing, disease causing pathogens. Okay, so what is this pathogenicity? Okay, now this bacteria is very strong and it can overcome the defense mechanism exhibited by the third line of defense, and finally it succeeds to cause a disease. Then it is the ability of the bacteria to cause the disease that is called as pathogenicity. Pathogenicity. I'm sorry about the spelling. I think yes or C. Okay, whatever it is. Pathogenicity. Okay, so any bacteria, virus, or maybe like fungus, whatever it is, it has the ability to cause the disease in any organism, then it is called as the pathogenicity. But remember that the immunity or immune response varies from person to person. You will understand it later. Got it? So everything is different. Even the first line of defense is varies from me and you, or maybe second line also. Okay, so even the third line also it varies. How strong my immunity? So based on that, the disease or symptoms will be there. Got it? So you have heard about symptomatic and asymptomatic. That's it. Okay. So this is the basic introduction of immunity. Now I'm going to talk about the types of immunity. Got it? Types of immunity. Please remember, first line and second line immunity is called as innate immunity. What is the meaning of innate? Innate means these immunity or immune system providing cells are present at the time of birth. They are given by our mother. Okay, innate at the time of birth. This one is, the third line is called as acquired. What is the meaning of acquired? You have built this immunity or immune system, okay, based on the experience of the pathogen. Okay, so pathogenicity is like normally if the pathogen enters into my body for the first time, obviously like I'm not specific because I don't know how to deal with that pathogen, but if the same pathogen enters into my body for the second time, my immunity will be specific and it kills it. Okay, that is actually the idea of vaccination. Okay, so acquired means it is developed immunity over time. Okay, so it is based on the experience. The pathogen experience. Got it? That is acquired immunity. That is B and T cells. That is third line. Very specific one. First, we will talk about the innate immunity. Very important for 3 months. Okay. Acquired immunity is also very important. You will understand it later. Now, let me just